ta'ala. As you know that we start already reading Surah Al-Baqarah, and I think after 10 ayat, we read this ayah, في قلوبهم مرض. And when you proceed more in Quran, you will find قست ثم قست قلوبكم. And you'll find this word قلب, قلوب, قلوبهم, قلوبكم, always mentioned in Quran. Basically, as you know, qalb means heart. It does not mean that the physical one, but the metaphorical one, where the faith, where the love, where the hate, where all emotional actions, reaction to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be seen and accountable for or against anyone. This heart, when we have any problem in our heart, we rush to doctor to see what is wrong with it. But it is more serious if a person walks in life and he never checked this heart. What is the state of heart? The best clinic to check this heart, it is the clinic originates this heart, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent us his messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam and sent his noble book Quran al-Majid to understand some information essential to find out our hearts. I will just go over some ayat and to try to reflect on some of them. You find that in Quran al-Kareem, in this ayat, ثم قست قلوبكم من بعد ذلك فهي كالحجارة أو أشد قسوة. Meaning that your hearts will be very hard, similar to rocks, or maybe harder than rocks. And if you connect this ayah with the ayah in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون. Just note which we need as we read Quran more in these days, always to try to connect ayat, the words of Quran. Here you find كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون, explained by the Prophet ﷺ in one hadith. He said that when a person commits any sin, he will develop one dark spot on his heart. If he does istighfar, it will be removed. But if he doesn't, it will remain. And if he does another sin, it will join that spot until this ran come. Ran means difficult to translate, but in very, it is like a stain. It will cover the heart. Once, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect it all, once this heart covered by this dust, heavy stain, then nothing will help. No advice, no any word can lift this heart to carry on in his journey with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because this stains, because this spot is very heavy and will cover the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This heart it is like receiver. It is directed, orientated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept his light. And if there is a stain, it does not work. Sometimes because we do not know ourselves, so we can not realize this issue. And that's why we, especially when engaged in this dunya, day by day, routine day, or forget the basic things, which is one of them to check the heart, the condition of heart. How is it is? I will mention this story to tell you how it is not something that is maybe, oh, it is bid'ah, or it is something new, or no, it is very common in the biography of Sahaba, of Salaf al-Salih. You will find hadith one day that Sahabi told the Prophet ﷺ that I feel nifaq. And many Sahaba said to complain to each other, I do not feel well about my heart. Obviously, they do not mean the medical issue, but they mean the spiritual issue. I will mention this one just to give you some example. One day, a man from Salaf al-Salih, I forget his name, but he went to Hassan al-Basri radiyallahu anhu, and he complained to him, I don't feel my heart well. And Imam Hassan al-Basri just read this ayah for him. He said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أفرأيت إن متعناهم سنين ثم جاءهم ما كانوا يوعدون ما أغنى عنهم ما كانوا يمتعون. Meaning that أفرأيت إن متعناهم سنين. Tell me if we make them enjoy for some years, for their life. ثم جاءهم ما كانوا يوعدون. Then they will face what they were warned about, meaning the death or the punishment in the hereafter. Then the third ayah saying, ما أغنى عنهم ما كانوا يمتعون. What they benefit from this enjoyment if the death comes after or after the punishment. Anyone will forget whatever he enjoyed. Imagine that you are, just for imagination, that if I have good meal, good party attended, good companion to sit with, but after that I face, well, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take it, a heavy punishment, or going to prison everlasting, or to go to hospital to stay forever. This is exactly comparison tells you the real story about this life. You can enjoy, but what will happen later? Going back to our question, this connection between كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون ثم قست قلوبكم. So this heart is affected directly, heavily with our action. This is ما كانوا يكسبون. Once they gain some sense, it will cover the heart. So the job of every believer to remove these stains as he or she develops them. Otherwise, he will reach to the condition of heart will be very hard, قسوة القلب, very hard, rocky heart. You find in Quran Kareem that mentioned القاسية قلوبهم, القاسية قلوبهم. It is repeated in Quran many times and always connected, associated with ذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى, because ذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى saying this adhkar, all of them, it will remove this issue from the heart and make his heart soft, receptive of the light. So this is the association between. Otherwise, that's why you find that many times you'll find in biographies of Salihin that they always very reactive with any ayah. Once they hear ayah, it moves them, shakes their conscience. Sometimes very hard for them. And look at our case now. How many, I do it in another occasion, just collect now. How many Jum'ah you go a year? 52. How many khutbah you hear? 52 or 54. Eid al-Fitr. And more than that, we always hear different khutbah, different maw'idah, different. But nothing happens. As we go, as we come back to the mosque, nothing. So what is wrong? It is in this heart. It is in the heart. It is my heart. I tell you another story about Al-Hasan al-Basri radiallahu anhu. He said always, sometimes he attended a speech by very good speaker. He was very eloquent. He brings a lot of ayat, a lot of hadith. And Imam Hassan al-Basri was not moved. He didn't cry. Then he said to that speaker, there must be some wrong here. Either me, either you, or something else. Later on, he discovered that the speaker was non-Muslim. So why this? Because our heart is very covered. That's why when the light comes, light is ready from Quran, from Hadith. It is really light. But why it doesn't work? So we have to focus in this heart to make it workable, responding to what we have. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ أَوْ أَشَدُّ قَسْوَةً. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compared the heart by the rocks. And sometimes you find rocks is better than the heart of a humans. And this is really, sometimes we say it in our literature that his heart is like stone, is worse than stone. This is really, it's not metaphorical, it's really. Because there's no rahmah at all, there's no mercy in their heart. They don't affected by any emotion. In the first ayah, ختم الله على قلوبهم وعلى سمعهم وعلى أبصارهم غشاوة ولهم عذاب عظيم. He said here, ختم means seal, as you know. This seal on the heart prevents this heart was moved from the audience of Quran. Go back now to the Surah Al-Baqarah. You will find 5 ayat at the beginning talking about the descriptions of believers. Then 2 ayat, only 2. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا خَتَمَ اللَّهُ. 2 ayat only talking about disbelievers. And 13 ayah talking about nifaq. وَمِنْهُمْ until elaborate the condition of the munafiqeen. Look here, iman, faith in heart, kufr in heart, nifaq in heart. And if you remember the hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said at-taqwa ha huna, and he referred to his chest, to his heart. So scholars work and reflect on this distribution. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 5 ayat here, 2 ayat about disbeliever and 13 ayat to talk about nifaq, because nifaq is very serious and it needs a lot of attention. And sometimes a person does not know that he has nifaq while he carries this nifaq. And we understand from this ayat the connection between the action and what is in heart. Iman reflects some actions. Disbelief reflects some action, and nifaq the same. For example, we know all that, and we use it when we want to attack someone about this hadith, ayatul munafiqi thalatha. We know it, and it is very obvious evidence. But because Iman leads to sincerity, honesty, trustworthy in every aspect of life, it is actually it is mental reference. It is way of life. It is, he cannot lie. And the opposite, munafiq, he cannot be truthful. Always he thinks how to have some deception. He will not tell the truth, never, because it becomes his mental mindset. He will build on, and everyone builds his character. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he become accountable for, because it is decision. It is actually informed decision. I will talk about heart is very difficult and long talk, but I will connect one thing from our daily actions. I will mention the hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he said that Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, he said that لن تؤمنوا والله لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى لن تؤمنوا حتى تستقيم قلوبكم ولن تستقيم قلوبكم حتى تستقيم ألسنتكم. You will not believe until your hearts are straight, and these hearts will not be straight until the tongue will be straight. What is the connection now? Iman with heart, heart with tongue. It is obvious. If you want to correct your belief, go back to your heart, go back to your tongue, correct this tongue. And if you remember that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that the tongue every morning, all limbs, all parts of body complaining, please leave us this day. And it is connected to our day now. Sometimes when we are at home, that's good. It is training course to stay at home and tell your tongue to stay at home as well. Hold your tongue, make it straight, train yourself. Don't never say, if you are a person like me, gray hair, it is not over, you can. And you remember the Sahaba, alayhim, many of them joined Islam late. So there's no problem. Just start off straightening your tongue. Scholars work out. If you go to biography of Sahaba, you'll find that Abu Bakr Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. What do you think about him? He trained himself. What he said, historians told him that he used it to put small stone in his tongue to remind himself, I want to correct myself. I will not say anything wrong. One story about Ibn Wahab, is the great scholar, he's a student of Imam Malik. He said that I train myself to, I am vigilant about my tongue, but many times stepped out and I cannot control myself. So what I did, I make commitment. Once I say any wrong word, I punish myself with fasting. I will fast one day. I carried sometimes with this, but later on, it does not work. I still say wrong words. So I change and I make fine. I commit to myself to pay fine, ticket, when I say any bad word. Later on, I stop saying any bad words because it is very heavy for a person to pay. It is difficult, but as for fast, maybe it is good because I appear that I am good man, that I am fasting in front of what? Take this, no, I am fasting. MashaAllah, he is good man. But if you pay something, you feel it because whatever comes out from the pocket, it is very heavy. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala benefit us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us this ability to control our tongue and to work out to pure our hearts. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك.
آمين. جزاك الله خير.
الله خير، والله تذكرة جيدة. شيخ محسن، أي تعليق؟
بارك الله فيك. والله نسأل الله أن يصلح قلوبنا. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
Very good. It's about the heart. It's a qalb, you know.
Allah give us the ability, inshallah, to clean and pure our heart, inshallah, in this beauty.
Ameen. 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 Ameen.
بارك الله فيك شيخ. May Allah accept, inshallah.
آمين.
حياكم
يا رب.
فين الشيخ موئل وإضافاته؟
Yeah, just make it dua.